Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 887. Well, I've got an amazing story with an amazing FFA student for you in this episode. I'm going to be speaking with Reid. He's coming to us from Laclede High School in Conway, Missouri. And what an amazing story. Is a junior in high school, has already got his own custom cabinetry business going on. That's right, building, designing, finishing, and installing cabinets in people's homes for them. Just getting ready to start his senior year, and you'll be amazed to hear just what, natural God-given talent can do in terms of him just loving drawing and drafting, creating like figurines out of wood and little kind of pieces of artwork, and then designing tables and designing cabinets and everything else. It's really, really amazing, and I'm really looking forward to getting that started for you right now. Joining me today is Reid, and he is coming to us from Laclede High School in Conway, Missouri, where he's been serving as his chapter's chaplain and also a state finalist for a proficiency award in ag mechanics and design with a really interesting supervised agricultural experience. So, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you bet. I have been looking forward to this conversation, and I'm happy that your advisor set it up. So, how is the summer treating you in Missouri?
Good. It's been pretty dry. We had a wet spring, but now it's pretty dry.
Dried out. That sounds like I'm in Idaho. We get the same type of weather here. Only that's normal for us. We have a wet spring's not normal, but we had a wet one this year, and then we have completely dried out. So now it's just dry lightning if we see any weather at all. Well, so we're going to talk today about your supervised agricultural experience, but let's do this first. I want to know more about you. Do you live on a farm, or do you live in town, or maybe something in between those two?
We live outside of town. Our house is on 5 acres, but we own a few different plots of land. Like we own 95 acres about a mile away, and then another 40 a little ways away.
Okay. And so is somebody in the family farming that?
Oh, we just cut hay off of it right now.
Cut hay. Okay. And has that land been something that's been in your family for some time, or is it new with your parents?
Part of it has been. Part of it's we just bought.
Okay. Part of it. The stuff that's been in, how long has that been part of your family?
Since I don't remember whenever my grandparents started dairy farming.
Okay, so it goes back to grandma and grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. And so now you're just cutting hay off it. Do you guys have any livestock anymore at all?
No.
Okay.
We were planning on getting some beef cows, but...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very good. Well, so how long have you been in the FFA?
4 years.
4 years, and you're...
Going on 4 years.
You're just starting your senior year of high school? Very cool. So you signed up your freshman year. Why did you sign up? Why did you want to be part of the FFA?
Because, I don't know, it's just what everybody does in our school, and...
Okay.
I just felt like that's what I should do.
So what you're saying is, if you didn't, everybody else in school would be sitting off having a good time in blue jackets, and you wouldn't have one on, and you'd be all by yourself.
Not necessarily true, but like I'd have to say, our FFA group is our biggest club in school.
Okay, very good. Now you're serving as your chapter's chaplain, and this is the second time in probably my last 5 or 10 interviews where I've interviewed somebody who's serving as chaplain in their officer position. Tell me more about what you do.
I just give the invocation at official functions of the FFA, and that's about all I do.
Okay. And is this something that you were chose for, something you volunteered for? Tell me about that.
They elect us into our offices, so that's just what I got put in.
Okay. So they elected you and said you are now chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
And was there any background behind that? Is this something that you're active in outside of school or anything like that?
I am a Christian, but they don't really have any requirements for that.
Gotcha. So they don't ask you those types of questions?
No.
Okay. And so is that something that's just starting this school year, or were you doing that your junior year as well?
I was doing that my junior year. We'll have officer elections once school starts again, and we'll find out what offices we get.
Okay.
Then.
And so at your chapter, do you choose what offices you want to be considered for, or do they basically say, we think Ethan will fit in good here. We're electing him for this.
So you get to pick like your top 3 you want to be, and then there's also a box of if they can put you anywhere. So that's about how it goes.
So what were your top 3 for this year?
I don't remember. I think I just checked wherever they wanted to put me.
Okay, so you're good anywhere. You're going to serve no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good for you. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love to do this. I would love to acknowledge your FFA advisor or advisors. Can you let us know who those folks are for you?
Marianne Keck and Joseph Stratton.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging them. I always love to mention our FFA advisors on the show, Ethan. They do so much for us. Now, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our great sponsors, everybody. Of course, I want to talk about Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. Man, just the finest in livestock handling equipment. If you're going to work cattle, you need good equipment that is not going to break down, that's going to operate smoothly, allow you to catch those cattle, minimize any potential stress, minimize any potential for injury. And Powder River does all of that. They've got everything you need, from really heavy-duty, well-designed cattle panels to sweep tubs, alleyways, and, of course, squeeze chutes, calf tables, and much, much more. You can find them at powderriver.com. And please let your local farm and ranch retailer know that you'd like to see that Powder River green out in their sales yard, so you can have the finest in livestock handling equipment as well. And then, of course, Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com. And I love to talk about lacrosse when we do our FFA episodes, because they are such a proud supporter of the FFA by annually sponsoring $25,000 in scholarships and jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. We, of course, use their Alpha Range boots on our farm here in Idaho every single day, and we want you to do the same. Anywhere you buy your farm and ranch clothing, your equipment, you can find Lacrosse boots, and if you can't, let them know you want to see them there and find everything they've got to offer you at lacrossefootwear.com. All right, well, Ethan, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. I read this on the form that had been filled out, and I was like, well, that is interesting. This is going to be my first time talking to somebody that does this.
I just sort of have a little wood shop that I do. I just bid a whole house worth of cabinets.
Really?
And I'm currently building a door. I do a little bit of everything that has to do with woodworking.
All right. How long have you been doing this? How long have you had this wood shop, I should say?
Probably 3-4 years.
No kidding. And now, is this something you got into on your own, or is this something like a parent was doing and they taught you about? How did that work?
I kind of got onto it sort of on my own and with my family and friends. One of my dad's friends, he's done woodworking most of his life.
Okay.
My grandpa built a timber frame house, and my dad owns an HVAC business, so I've been around construction and building houses basically my whole life.
Okay. So, I mean, with all that kind of broad range of experience and people you have available to you, how did you get into kind of the fine woodworking of doing cabinets and making doors and things like that?
I don't know. It just kind of was something that I wanted to try, and I enjoyed doing it.
Okay. So you just wanted to try it, and you liked it. So when you got started 4 years ago doing woodworking, do you remember what one of the first things you built was, or one of your first projects?
Yeah, I was building little that would have been when I was 15 or something, and I was building little ornaments and ornate little things. Like with a scroll saw.
Like what were you building? Like ornaments? Okay. So are we talking Christmas tree ornaments, or am I misunderstanding?
Yes, like Christmas tree ornaments,
okay.
All kinds of just really ornate pieces. They're more of decorative items than.
Oh, really? So stuff that people could put up on a shelf and display.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example of something that you made out of wood.
Then or now?
Then.
Butterflies, vases, all kinds of things.
Wow. So, everybody, Ethan, has got some sort of an aptitude. They've got something that just naturally clicks with them. And, man, if you started out making things like that, it sounds to me like you've got an aptitude for this. This clicked with you. Obviously, you see things in wood that the rest of us, or most of us, don't.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I don't know. It just seemed to be something that I can do. I don't know.
Well, that's great. So it's obviously evolved. When I saw on the form that had been filled out that you were making cabinets, custom cabinets for people's houses, I'm blown away by that. That's a big time business, and you're in high school and you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So now this house that you just did, is that the first time that you've done cabinets for a full house?
Yes, I've done like walk-in closets and bathrooms and stuff, but I haven't done everything on new construction.
Wow. And then so you made the cabinets. Did you also install them?
Yeah, for the ones I've done, I do install them.
Really? So you're designing, manufacturing, staining, doing all of that, and then installing them as well?
Yeah.
Wow. Who did you do this for?
I've done it for family, friends, just about anybody who's been here, who's asked me to.
Really? And do they work with you on the design of what the cabinets are going to look like? How do you come up with that?
I usually either draw them out on my drafting table, or I have a 3D design program that I use.
Oh my goodness! So your interest in this has grown, because you probably didn't start out with a 3D design program.
No, there's actually quite a few 3D design programs that you can fill out a small business application for, and they'll let you use them.
Is that right?
So that's helped me a lot.
Interesting. And how long have you had a drafting table for?
I don't know. I've actually built my own drafting table.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Man, I took drafting my freshman year of high school, my very first semester of high school ever. I took drafting, and I can't remember why or what requirement it fulfilled. All I realized, the main thing I learned in that class was that I was never going to be an architect. That's the main thing I learned. I've got no skills when it comes to that. But you can visualize it and you can put it down on paper. And now you can make it happen on the computer too.
I don't know. Drawing it out's a lot funner than doing it on the computer.
That is fascinating. Now, have you always been artistic? Like prior to getting involved with wood, were you drawing things, in primary school?
I don't know. I was always drawing architecture. I can't really draw other kind of artwork, but I can.
Really?
If you give me a ruler, I can draw out some pretty fancy architecture.
That's fascinating. So you've always been, just for fun, drawing architecture.
That's what probably, if we go back through all of my like projects for school, they're probably all mainly architecture drawings.
Wow, I'm fascinated by this because, you hear of people that are gifted in music, or they're gifted in sports, or they're gifted in you name it, but you're drawing architecture as a kid. So were your teachers or your parents ever like, what is up with this kid? Why is he drawing this bridge? It's one of those things you don't see that often.
I don't know. Lots of people have told me I should be an engineer and stuff, but
an engineer?
I couldn't stand an office job.
You're not interested in being an engineer?
No, not really. I couldn't sit in an office all day long.
Okay. What about an architect? I mean, if you're doing this for fun, you can get paid a lot of money to do that.
And architect's too artistic. I don't know. Okay. If I wanted to either one, it'd be an engineer because it deals with math and stuff.
Okay. Interesting. And are you naturally ahead at math and things like that?
I don't know. I'd say I'm pretty good at math.
Well, what math class are you going to be in this year?
College algebra.
Okay. So yeah, you're a little bit advanced. So yeah, that's incredible. So how do you, you're 17 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're 17, how do you get people to trust you to design, build, and install the cabinets in their house?
I usually just show them the things I've done. So My first cabinet job was actually for a family member, and because they wanted me to do it for them, and so I usually show pictures and stuff of the cabinet jobs I've done.
Okay.
Or they're people who have known me most of my life.
And do you have a favorite wood to work with when you're doing a project like this?
I use a lot of oak because my grandpa had a sawmill and he sawed a lot of oak, and so I'm using up what he's all sawed.
Okay, so you've got a lot of pre-milled and cured lumber laying around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. And is that sawmill still in existence? Is it still there?
He sold it quite a while ago.
Okay. One of my favorite, and here I am going off on a tangent, but one of my favorite businesses I've ever profiled on this show is people that have portable sawmills, where they can take them to people's property and then they can mill the lumber they've fallen on the place for them, and then they can build stuff out of the timber off of their own property. I think that's one of the coolest businesses ever. I live out in the desert, so we're not doing that. You can't mill sagebrush. But where you're at, that's a really cool option. Interesting stuff. So you're building cabinets. Now, what's the hardest project you've done so far?
Probably a dining room table.
Wow.
Just because it's so big. It was all about 4 foot by 8 foot solid oak dining room table. It's hard to move around and everything because we're talking about a 500-pound table.
Wow. Now, was it oval? Is it rectangular?
It was a rectangle.
It was a rectangle. Did you put leaves in it, or was it just one piece?
One piece.
One piece.
With breadboard ends and everything.
Okay. Wow, that's incredible. Now, most times people want chairs to match their table. Are you designing and building chairs too?
No, I didn't build chairs for it. Okay. I built a bench for it.
Built a bench. And so when you build something like that, you're doing like sanding, are you doing finishing and all of that? Staining?
Yes.
Really? Wow, that's fascinating. I would never get mine level. I would trim off a little from every leg until finally the table was like a foot off the ground. And it still wouldn't be level. That's how that would go for me.
Stop block when you're cutting wood helps a lot.
What's that called again?
A stop block. Whenever you're cutting anything, it's nice to have a stop, like a reference mark.
Okay.
You always cut them all the exact same way.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Man, that's fantastic. So this wood shop, where is it? Is it in your family's garage? Do you have a shop? Where's it at?
We have a shop that's maybe 10, 20 feet off of our house.
Okay.
That's it.
And over time, I mean, woodworking equipment is not cheap. So over time, how have you been able to accumulate the equipment you need to do all this?
I usually buy the tools that I need as the project comes up, or I've started off with, like, we had a table saw and everything already, just a contractor style table saw, and I eventually upgraded to a true cabinet shop style table saw.
And is there a name for your business?
Biggie's Wood Shop.
I'm going to write that down. What is it again?
Biggie's Wood Shop.
Biggie's Wood Shop. Biggie's. Where does that come from?
Playing baseball in elementary, the baseball coach called me Biggie.
Okay. In elementary, my baseball coach called me Turbo because I was so slow. So I'm never naming anything Turbos anything. I didn't like that nickname. But you liked Biggie. Very cool. So Biggie's Wood Shop. And how do you find customers? Is it just word of mouth, or do you do some advertising or social media?
So there's a craft show in Fair Grove, a town about 30 minutes away from here, that I set up at. I've set up at our local one here in Conway too.
Okay. Wow. You realize most seniors in high school, well, you're just starting your senior year. You realize most juniors in high school don't have a custom cabinetry business, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is really, really interesting. So when you go to the craft show, are there awards and things like that, or is it simply to display what you've been doing and to meet people who are interested in what you do?
It's simply just to display what I have been doing and stuff. Usually I take furniture, small furniture, like end tables, hall tables, and stuff like that.
Really? Oh, that's fantastic. Good for you. How many pieces will you make a year? Like how much time are you devoting to making things out of wood?
I don't know. It just depends. Every year is a bit different.
Okay. And is this your full-time job, working for yourself and making things and selling them and doing custom jobs, or do you have a job on the side of that? So is this your full-time job? Is this the only way you make money?
No, I work for my parents too at their HVAC business.
Oh, at the HVAC business. Okay. Fascinating. Well, this is really, really fascinating. So you are starting your senior year. So you've got 1 year of high school left. So what is next for you after high school?
I don't really know.
Okay. Well, what would you, do you have any thoughts on what you would like to do? Would you like to continue to do woodworking and make money at that?
I don't know. I've been debating whether I'm just going to go to school for HVAC and work for my parents, or do this for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. It's an interesting debate, right? Because on one hand, you've got to start fresh and go completely on your own, and you don't know how it's going to go. On the other hand, there's an existing business, and you know it's a good business, and so there's some predictability there, I guess, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Do you enjoy having your own business? Is that something? Obviously you enjoy the woodwork, but is having your own business and creating your own products and then having somebody buy them from you, does that give you as much excitement as building something?
Yes, I just have to say the worst thing I don't like is the money part. I don't know. It's just I always feel awkward whenever the exchanging money comes into play.
That's funny. A lot of people do when they're new at having their own business. When they do something for somebody and then it's time to ask for the money, we're timid about it, or we're humble about it, or whatever it may be. And really, honestly, the tendency that most small business owners have when they're starting out is to charge too little for either what they're producing or what they're making. Because if you're going to have a business that's going to sustain you, you've got to make enough money that you can keep going through the thin times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be able to buy the equipment you need, pay your bills, all of that. So, yeah, everybody goes through that. So don't feel bad about that. Everybody goes through that, and it's just something you have to learn how to deal with. It doesn't mean you have to take every last penny your customer has, but you have to charge enough that it makes sense for you to do it. And but you'll learn that. If you enjoy it, you will learn that. Do you have anybody that works for you? Like when you're installing cabinets, do you install them all on your own, or do you get some help?
I usually have my dad help me, or whoever can.
Really cool. Well, I'm excited to see where this goes, Ethan. This show is about entrepreneurship and agriculture, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if I had a vote, I would vote that you expand your business. It sounds really, really cool. And obviously your parents have their own business, so they can help you with the business side of things too, right?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Good for you. So you've got your own business. So this is episode number 887 of this show. And I've probably interviewed at this point 550 to 600 FFA students, and you're the first one to ever come on who's got their own cabinet business. I've never, ever interviewed a student doing this. That is really cool, Ethan. Very cool. I'd love to ask you, what is it about being in the wood shop, working and seeing something, seeing what, I guess, creating what is in your mind and making that into something you can actually touch. What is it about that you like so much?
I don't know. I just like all of it. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's hard to put a stamp on that sometimes. What it is we enjoy about it. Is it do you, when you're working in the shop by yourself, do you like working by yourself, or would you rather be working in a situation where there's a group of people you could be visiting with people? Maybe that's a better way to ask.
I don't know. Either way would be fine, but I usually just put my headphones in and go to work. All
right. You're very, very easy to please, Ethan. I see that. When you get into a project like that, and I don't do woodworking, but I'll do a project, something like that, where I really have to concentrate on the details. And I find that everything else going on in my life when I do a project like that goes away, and I'm totally focused just on that project. And it's nice. It's nice to forget about all that other stuff for a little while and to just focus on that. So very, very cool. Thank you for coming on and sharing this with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, everybody, and thank you to Ethan Reid for that great interview. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.